3 now, Alabama's Morning News. I'm JT, and Abdullah Hayek joins us now, a Young Voices senior contributor and a leading Middle East analyst. Welcome in, Abdullah. Glad to have you back with me.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
So your thoughts on the visit we had last week from the Crown Prince, Saudi Arabia. Yeah, they're somewhat of an ally, but, keep one eye open. And they come to the White House, and there was a lot of pushback on the fact that this guy has got some background that's not so friendly. Khashoggi, I guess was the guy's name, the reporter that was killed. And then they kind of diverted that questioning there. Your thoughts on how this looks globally and also the United States welcoming somebody this controversial?
To begin with, I think it's important to note that the relationship between Saudi Arabia and the United States during the Biden administration was very unstable, unfriendly, and some might describe it as somewhat hostile.
Well, there's a lot of things that were unstable during the Biden administration. I'll give you that. That's for sure. Globally and domestically.
Absolutely. So Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince, respects Trump and likes him, and the same goes to Trump. Trump likes strong leaders. He likes young, powerful, authoritative figures. Mohammed bin Salman was not the same Mohammed bin Salman during the first Trump administration of 2017 to 2021. When MBS came, he wants to make two things clear. He wants to reinforce and solidify the already strong U.S.-Saudi relationship and transform it into something magnanimous. And second of all, he wants to change the traditional relationship between the U.S. and Saudi to reflect and mirror America first with Saudi first. Traditionally, the relationship between Saudi and the U.S. entailed that, the U.S. would tend to the matters of the broader Middle East, the Arab affairs, the Islamic affairs, and have Saudi spearhead those affairs. MBS doesn't want that. MBS wants that the relationship between the U.S. and Saudi to be solely focused on that. And that entails his Vision 2030, his new AI adventures, his new, the investments in Saudi Arabia, all the tech. So with all of those life-changing initiatives that the Saudis are embarking, especially with the amounts of money we're seeing pumping in to the U.S., I think something that happened about 7 years ago, and of course with the war in Yemen and the controversy there, the U.S. has decided to move past that and set forth conditions that with all of these new initiatives, you can't go back on it and do something like what you did with Khashoggi or targeting civilians in Yemen.
Right.
And so far, MBS has moved forward with that. He hasn't, that adventurism of, self-independence, of just clearing up any...
Well, let me ask you this, Abdullah. With that said, as much as MBS wants to be first in line when it comes to relations in the area with the United States, and basically, look, we're in this together, Mr. President Trump. I want you to consider us first in all activity in the Middle East here, okay? There's got to be something that Donald Trump's going to get. Now, he is getting a bunch of money. Beyond the money, I would think that he would want the Saudis to step up when there's conflict in that Middle East region there, Israel, Hamas, Palestinian situation, and take a greater stand. Because during the conflict, when the war broke out, the Saudis were over there just kind of looking the other way, going, okay, we're not getting involved here. We're not going to. It doesn't seem U.S. allies in that region came off the bench and came to back us up as much as the president probably would have wanted. Is he going to expect that from MBS?
Definitely not, and I'll tell you why. The Saudis have traditionally never intervened militarily the way other allies in the region have. The only time the Saudis really intervened on the sides of the U.S. was during the Gulf War of 1990-1991. Now, that also comes into the Saudi first policy that MBS wants to embark in, which is we're surrounded by all these conflicts, Syria, Gaza, Iran, Yemen. Now, they obviously concern us, but I think the best way to make sure that they don't expand into us is to contain them and not intervene militarily in them. Now, if you remember during the first Trump administration, Saudi was very much in line with the maximum pressure campaign on Iran. He was very much in favor of U.S. strikes on Iran, the way Netanyahu of Israel is today. That Saudi policy has changed. Saudi believes in a more integrated tapestry of relations between the broader Middle East, and that includes, for your information, with Israel. However, with Israel, the thing is, the Saudis, they don't want to be just another Arab Muslim country that normalizes with Israel and doesn't get anything in return. Saudi, especially MBS, he wants to be the champion, the man who brought the victory home for the region, that he ended the conflict as a whole. That's why the sole Saudi condition is that they will not normalize with Israel unless there is a Palestinian state or a pathway towards a Palestinian state.
Okay, with that statement and that understanding, though, I gotta ask you: will the Saudis at least take a vocal position with Donald Trump and the rest of the West when it comes to Iran, the head of the snake when it comes to terrorism, in denouncing Iran and anything they're doing to feed terrorism?
Well, they've already denounced Iran, and they've already done their part in regards to Iran. But in terms, of military conflict, in terms of seeing a Saudi-Iranian war, that will never happen, because the Saudis know that their conventional military capabilities are not going to be met with the Iranians. The Iranians are asymmetrical. They have drones and ballistic missiles, and they can just saturate the attacks and just attack the oil wells and the oil facilities in Saudi. And that will just kill the Saudi economy. Saudi can't fight such a war. So it's in Saudi's best interest, which will in return extend to the broader U.S. interest of de-escalation in the region, to de-escalate with Iran. And there's examples of that. I mean, with the war in the Red Sea, with the Houthis disrupting all the maritime shipping and attacking all the U.S. warships and all the vessels you can imagine, not a single missile was flown over from Yemen into Saudi, because the Saudis just don't want any escalation, because they recognize now part of their vision for a broader Saudi role globally. That entails that the Saudi economy is central in terms of oil flow and investment into Saudi that will in return affect the global economy.
No doubt about it, and no doubt money is always at the bottom line of everything. Follow the money. And that's going to be a lot, of the basis of negotiations and relationships for sure. Abdullah, thank you so much, buddy. Always good to catch up.